Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tearing into the CDC's 2024 Program Evaluation Framework. Look, we're going to take what is essentially a pretty dense 37-page government doc and transform it into a clear, totally actionable blueprint for your initiatives. Whether you're a novice gearing up for your very first community assessment, or you're a seasoned pro who just needs a quick catch-up on the latest federal updates, consider this your master roadmap. Let's get right to it.
Okay, so let's just dive right in by asking the ultimate question, the one that literally keeps public health folks and program managers up at night. Does your program actually work? I know, it's a heavy question, right? And honestly, it's usually surrounded by a ton of anxiety. But answering it confidently, that's not just about securing your next round of funding or checking a box for a grant. It's about proving and improving your real-world impact. It's absolutely crucial for strengthening what we do every day and the broader systems we operate in.
To figure that out, we're going to follow this game plan today. First, why evaluate programs? Second, the 2024 framework updates. Third, 3 cross-cutting actions. Fourth, the 6 evaluation steps. And finally, from insights to action.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, why evaluate programs? So here's the crucial takeaway right off the bat. Evaluation is not just some administrative hoop you jump through to prove you spent your budget right. Definitely not. It's actually a rigorous, scientific tool built to continuously level up your organization's real-world impact. Now, it definitely uses similar methods to traditional academic research, sure, but the end game isn't just adding to broad, generalizable knowledge. Nope, it's highly specific to your context. It's about figuring out exactly how to build on your strengths, or maybe pinpointing why a specific program just isn't hitting its goals on the ground. Think of it like this. Instead of just publishing a massive paper on community diabetes rates, a solid evaluation tells you exactly why your local clinic's outreach program sees a huge drop-off in attendance on Tuesdays. Once you know that, you can make an immediate, evidence-based fix. Moving right along to Section 2, the 2024 Framework Updates. You know, the field of public health has evolved so much over the last couple of decades, and the CDC framework really reflects that shift. We've officially moved from the 4 basic standards we got back in 1999 to 5 highly rigorous federal standards. These new standards actually align with the Foundations for Evidence-Based Policymaking Act, which means we are now baking relevance, rigor, independence, transparency, and ethics right into the core of everything we do. It just ensures our evaluations aren't just useful, but are done with serious integrity. But honestly, maybe the most culturally significant update here is the shift in terminology. Notice this really intentional shift in language. The framework completely phases out the term stakeholder. I mean, I know it's a super common corporate buzzword, we hear it all the time, but it can actually imply a pretty sharp power imbalance. And more importantly, it carries a violent historical connotation for certain Native American and Alaska Native tribes, tying back to the literal staking of land claims and old treaty allocations. So, by pivoting to the term interest holder, the framework ensures we're using language that's truly inclusive. It levels the playing field, basically inviting absolutely everyone to the table as equal partners, from the folks funding the program to the people directly impacted by it, and yeah, even the people who might be a little skeptical of it.
And by intentionally centering health equity, this updated framework practically demands that our programs actively work to eliminate preventable disparities and tackle historical injustices head-on. Evaluation isn't just a detached math problem anymore, and it's definitely not a mere administrative hurdle. It forces us to look critically at the structural drivers at play. Like, you aren't just looking at a spreadsheet to see if people showed up to a health clinic. You're asking, did a lack of transit access, or maybe language barriers, or economic hurdles prevent a fair and just opportunity for the entire community to reach their highest level of health?
Okay, that brings us to Section 3, 3 cross-cutting actions.
Think of these 3 cross-cutting actions as a continuous wraparound effort. They are absolutely not just little boxes you check off at the start of a project and forget about. They're lenses you have to look through during the entire evaluation lifecycle. First up, you have to engage collaboratively. That means facilitating true co-ownership of the evaluation with your community. Second, you must advance equity by valuing lived experiences just as much as professional or academic ones. And what does that actually look like in the real world? Well, it might mean designing surveys with direct input from community members so the phrasing actually makes sense to them, or making sure a local resident gets just as much speaking time in a steering committee as the lead researcher does. And finally, you have to actively learn from and use these insights as you go, meaning you actually adjust your program in real time based on interim data, instead of just waiting a whole year for some final report to drop.
Now for the real meat of it, Section 4, the 6 evaluation steps.
So this six-step blueprint is highly interdependent. While they're laid out in this nice, neat, linear sequence, from assessing context all the way to acting on findings, public health evaluation is actually a super iterative process. You might literally find yourself on step 4, gathering your evidence, only to realize, wait, we need to loop back and adjust step 3 because you just uncovered some brand new contextual constraints. It's a living cycle. Let's break down step 1.
Step 1 demands that we take a really hard look at our environment. We have to ask, is the organization actually ready for an evaluation right now? And do we truly understand the power dynamics of the community we're trying to serve? You've got to gauge your organizational capacity with total honesty. Look, if your organization doesn't have the staff bandwidth, the funding, or even just the basic data infrastructure at this exact moment, jumping into a full-scale evaluation is literally just going to lead to frustration. You have to assess your reality first. You also have to respect the local place, really acknowledging the history and the systems that impact marginalized communities before you even think about drafting up your metrics. Next up, we have steps 2 and 3, describing the program and focusing the design. For this, you need a crystal clear theory of change, which most of us know as a logic model. Put simply, this is your roadmap. It shows exactly how your resources, your inputs, directly fuel your daily activities, and how that eventually leads to your short and long-term outcomes. If your interest holders don't agree on this basic map of what the program actually does, I guarantee your evaluation questions will completely miss the mark. But once everyone is finally on the same page, step 3 is all about focusing your evaluation questions based on exactly where the program is in its development and the actual resources you realistically have on hand to do the evaluating. Then we hit step 4, gathering credible evidence. Here, we usually rely on a mixed methods approach, so a really balanced, rigorous evaluation might look something like this. Maybe 40% quantitative data, 40% qualitative narratives, and 20% secondary existing data. The goal isn't just to hoard massive amounts of data, it's about collecting the right evidence. You want to purposefully weave those hard numbers together with real human stories to get insights that are truly culturally responsive. It is so absolutely vital here that your data collection honors cultural norms. For example, maybe you don't use a written survey in a community with a strong oral tradition. And above all, you have to deeply respect data sovereignty and privacy. Moving into step 5, we generate conclusions. We do this by analyzing our indicators, taking a really close look at our resources, our daily activities, and ultimately asking if those expected outcomes actually happened. But remember, data doesn't just speak for itself, right? It desperately needs human context. It's incredibly important to interpret these findings collaboratively alongside your interest holders. When you interpret the data with the community, you ensure your conclusions are practically meaningful, not just statistically significant on a spreadsheet, and that they actually lead to feasible recommendations that make sense in the real world. Almost at the finish line. Section 5, from insights to action. Step 6 requires evaluators to step up as proactive facilitators, translating all those dense academic findings into plain, actionable language. You have to plan for dissemination early and really tailor your findings to the specific people who hold the levers to make actual changes. And here's something absolutely crucial. Evaluators have to act as advocates for their data to protect it from being taken out of context. Just imagine you have a community program that successfully improved overall health literacy, but it just so happened to miss one arbitrary, totally unrelated attendance metric 1 month. As an evaluator, you have to actively facilitate the insights to stop bad faith actors from cherry-picking that one single negative metric, intentionally misinterpreting it, and using it to defund a vital program. I love this quote because, as the CDC notes, dissemination is not the final act of the evaluation. It's a cycle that evaluators conduct regularly. The whole point here is that evaluation is a continuous, living process of learning and improving. It is definitely not a dusty 300-page report just sitting on a shelf somewhere. It requires sharing interim findings as you go, checking in regularly with your users, and making ongoing programmatic tweaks. Ultimately, it fundamentally weaves evaluation into the everyday DNA of your public health work. So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a thought to chew on for your own work moving forward. How will you use these 6 steps to build a more equitable, impact-driven program today? Because the framework is out there, the rigorous standards are set, and the communities we serve are waiting. It's time to take these insights and turn them into action.